Hey Pam,
Brother Kamau.
I was trying to email this link to myself so I could join from my computer. Is there any way possibly you can email me this link?
I can.
All right, let me send you my email address on the WhatsApp thing.
All right.
Here we go. Oh, technology.
Let's see here. All right. Let's see here. Here we go. All right, you should have it. Should be coming through.
Refresh. Hmm. There we go. Open Zoom meeting.
All right. There you go.
Recording in progress.
No. No.
Hey, yeah, you're gonna sign out of the other one.
Yeah, there we
AI.
There he is.
There I is.
How are you, my dear
I'm
friend?
good. I'm mad that it's about to snow. We have snow in the forecast,
Uh-huh.
but hey, it's on this side of creation, so I'm happy.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much for uh, joining me today. I'm in this journey of healing, and I needed to have these conversations with folks who know me. Uh, and I started thinking maybe I should just do a whole series and include it in a podcast so that
Okay.
folks know who I am. I think I'm gonna call it the I Am series. Um,
Where's the ultimate destination for the podcast? YouTube or some streaming other thing?
Yeah, yeah. Most likely on YouTube. I have a few there already, and just looking to build that out in terms of sharing more information about who I am. I watched this video yesterday at Sankofa bookstore in DC, and there was a wonderful scholar talking about her book Oshun Lemonade, and she did this whole write up of Beyonce's Lemonade album and what it meant to her and what she feels it means to the world and in terms of the energy of Oshun. And I started thinking more and more about traditional African philosophy, and I know you know so much about that. And I
Is
said,
it Pamela? Is it Pam's perspective?
"Where are you looking on YouTube? YouTube now?"
Yeah. Is it Pamela Felder?
Oh,
What's
it's just it's Pamela Felder-Small. You just if you just Google my name, you should be able to see some things.
there's another Pamela Felder out
There are
there.
quite a few, quite a few.
Wow.
I think I'm the only Pamela Felder-Small though. I haven't seen another Pamela Felder-Small, but I've seen quite a few Pamela Felders.
I found it. Black Doctorates Matter. ICSWG, UP, LMNOP, whatever. Okay, I found it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, this black woman I was listening to last night, she was talking about managing the tension of being a black woman in academia, or black people being in academia, period. And you working in academia certainly know this. Um, Us working as student activists, we certainly know this. Um, and so this is my way of getting at that tension, right? Is to have these conversations with folks who know me. One of the tension points for me has been, oh, people don't know who you are. I would hear that, people don't
Mhm.
really know who you are. They don't really know. And I know I'm a naturally shy person, but I feel like I've been out there enough for people, and like people who are really close to me would never think that, right? That I'm shy, but I do have these shy tendencies, but once I get to know you, if you're in my circle, it's because we have a really strong connection. And of course, you're one of those individuals I have a connection with. So, a couple of things. In this healing journey, I'm looking to connect with folks. In this healing journey, I'm looking to make a stronger connection between my Christian faith and African traditional philosophies. I felt like I've acknowledged it like in my work, but in terms of my walk, in terms of my healing, I need to do some deeper work on that. And so definitely want to channel and acknowledge the energy of Oshun in this healing process. So that's where I am. And so I wanted to reach out to you because I did like a video journal before I did this. And I was just like, Kamau is like a brother to me. You helped me through so many things. I was laughing to myself the other day because I was like, he taught me how to, I mean, I knew how to drive, but he taught me how to eat and drive. Remember,
That's not a good
remember,
thing.
I was like, I didn't know how to like really do that. And I think one day we had literally pulled over on the side of the road and you said, and I had like an egg and cheese biscuit from Hardee's or something. And you was like, here, you put it in your lap like this. And then eat it like this when you drive it. This way you don't take your eye off the road. Remember that? I don't know if
Yep.
you remember that.
Is that in the blue? What was that? Blue Bay? What's that name?
But yeah, Luby. Remember
Ruby.
Luby?
What's that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought it and I bought it in Baltimore.
Okay. San
Yeah.
Lorenzo.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I bought my truck from there 7, 8 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I bought my first car from you guys back in 1990. Sam Morant was like, oh, Sam just retired.
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, we definitely have a history. I'm gonna call it a legacy because there's some institutional stuff around it.
Mm-hmm.
But let me ask you this question:
Mm-hmm.
when you say a devotee, or two things, a devotee of Oshun,
Mm-hmm.
and then you say your healing journey,
Mm-hmm.
life is while you're on this side of existence, life is about the living, and then part of that is always healing the human body
Mm-hmm.
as it lives, it dies, and is in a perpetual state of healing. So we should also guess that emotionally, we should also look to that same type of journey. So when you say a devotee of Oshun and healing, what's the relevance of that?
Mm-hmm.
What's the perspective of those two things?
I think the relevance for me is just having, I think, a deeper appreciation and a deeper sense of knowledge for myself, in terms of what Oshun is and what it can mean to me as a Christian. Um, One of the things I feel like is that, I haven't done enough of making that connection, and figuring out how to do that. In many ways, I thought that those two things had to be separate, right? Like there was Oshun, and then there were the Orishas and that spiritual journey, and then there was the Christian faith, right? And I was kind of dead set. Maybe I shouldn't use that word, but set in that path, in that journey, and I continue on in that journey, being alive in Christ and Jesus Christ. So I feel like now I'm in a space where I'm pushing my faith. My faith should be getting stronger. And I think one of the ways I can do that is to think more about how to incorporate those African traditional philosophies into my faith walk
Okay.
in terms of acknowledging them.
And so you acknowledge some type of healing that needs to occur?
Definitely. I think in terms of my walk in the academy, uh, in sort of managing the tensions. I think when I first got into the PhD program at Penn, I was just in awe of being there and attempting to figure out, who I was in that space. And I feel like now when I look back at that time, as much as I want to say it was my ambition, I believe now it was more of a calling. And God kind of placed me in that pathway to learn some things and to see some things and to develop a sense of knowledge about some things. And now I feel like I'm in a place where, okay, God, you've shown me all of this. I've had these bumps and these bruises, and I've had this experience. In order for me to move forward, I know that I need to kind of heal from what I've experienced, but at the same time, think about it in a way that will help me to move into the next chapter to prepare for what God has for me next. And, you know, part of that, I think, is just making sense of the journey, telling a story about the journey, having some sense of acknowledgement about, what that means, and making sure that, I co-sign with folks who know me, who can acknowledge that for me, to be in community with individuals in terms of what that healing is. And so, yeah, that's where I am with the process.
Hmm, okay.
Hmm.
So in dealing with the Orisha and Christianity, um, do you feel like there is a distinct schism between the two phenomena or ideologies?
I think I did. I think I did. I did feel like there was this connection to this spirituality that didn't immediately acknowledge Christ. Like it wasn't Christ centered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like, that's not where I need to be right now. That it's not that I didn't see it and didn't think that it was something that was important to our community and to our people, but it was something that I believed that it wasn't part of my walk and my journey at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm realizing, no, there's no need for that. There's no need for this disconnect. Let's bring this together now and have a stronger sense of acknowledgement and purpose. And I'm at a place now where I feel like in sort of listening to some scholars and doing more reading about it, that it can really be what I need it to be, and then
Mm-hmm.
it can grow from there. So I feel like, let's have some conversations about what this means and what it has meant over the years, so that I can certainly move forward in ways that will make sense.
So that's something that I struggled with 30, almost 30 years ago. 30? Yeah, about 30 years ago. Um, Coming into African consciousness, but being a born again Christian, having accepted Jesus Christ as my personal Lord and Savior at watch night service going from 90 to 91.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then being in undergrad and being exposed to an entire world of history, becoming an amateur historian and just falling in love with the rich history of our people beyond the Middle Passage, exposes you to some line of thinking that can undergird the faith that we had grown up with.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me some time to understand that. But what most people miss, if you are a believer, a monotheist, right, that there's only one God. There's only one creative force, spirit in this universe,
Mm-hmm.
and that force manifested itself around about 2,000 years ago, the person of Yeshua, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ben Pandera, Ben Joseph, whatever the surname may have been. And then that life exemplified some aspects of the divinity of that which is transcendent that was communicated through that particular experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's only one creator. There's only
Mm-hmm.
one God. And what I would say to people is the Most High gave an example of the transcendent love, the transcendent good through the life of Jesus. And he allowed, miracles to be performed to allow people to see, to witness God, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the first time, that's not the only time that the Most High has sent um, folks or entities or whatever you want to believe to this world. And so for me, what I had to realize is that God, Elohim, the Most High, speaks to all different people with all different types of languages.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I may call Jesus, right? Someone else calls it Orisha,
Mm-hmm.
or God, we might call it Orisha. But it's really just one essence with different languages. And so, I have this conversation with my ex-wife all the time because she's a staunch Christian. And of course, anything other than the tradition that she knows is blasphemous. And I say, well, even the word Jesus is not true. It's not the language, that person would have spoken. It's not the name. It
Mm-hmm.
would have been an Aramaic or Hebrew name, and the name was Yeshua. But we say there's power in the name Jesus,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not even the real name. So if
Mm-hmm.
there's power in the name, what are you really trying to say? Well, you know what I'm talking about. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The Spirit knows what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So then it doesn't matter what you say. The Spirit knows what you're trying to bring forward. And in
Amen.
our tradition as American Africans or New World Africans, we refuse to look beyond that middle passage experience sometimes, which I think also causes a cultural schism and us wanting to acknowledge where we come from.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with Tariq Nasheed,
No.
and he's got this term called FBA, Foundational Black Americans.
Mm-hmm.
And it's causing this unique schism between Pan-Africanists who are trying to, of course, follow the tradition of Garvey and Malcolm with
Mm-hmm.
the newer the Africans in America will not be redeemed until we redeem
Mm-hmm.
Africa and vice versa, how we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he's on this distinct lineage of foundational Black Americans. Some of us, and folks like to say, well, a lot of us were here before Columbus, which is
Mm-hmm.
true, as
Mm-hmm.
proven by Ivan Van Sertima. But in mass, the majority of us have lineage directly to Western Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But some folks not wanting to connect to that. And I think part of that has to also deal with our Christian upbringing, which somehow I think as taught through the tradition of slavery,
Mm-hmm.
has us scared to look beyond that experience of the Middle Passage and slavery, because Christianity, of course, has deep roots in Africa.
Yeah.
In the Coptic faith in northeastern Africa, and
Mm-hmm.
so it's a lot. But I love it that you're reconnecting those two, because no matter what you call that which is transcendent, it's
Mm-hmm.
only one thing.
Right. Yeah, and I'm so glad that you said that. Brought up the idea of a schism. So, like, one of the things that I always felt like I was doing was suppressing my faith journey in the academy, and I always felt like there were these two distinct experiences. Very seldom did I have an opportunity to connect outwardly with regard to my faith. There was one occasion, I think, for example, there was a sister who was defending her dissertation, and she had asked everyone to step out of the room, and we all stood in the hallway, and she wanted us to have engage in a prayer, a circle of prayer. And so to me, that was a moment where I felt like, like, yes, It was very reaffirming and reassuring. But otherwise, I was like praying on the elevator, praying on the walk to my car, praying on my way to a meeting, praying while I'm sitting in class, doing all doing all of this, prayer and meditation. And in terms of every interaction that I had while I was there. So now I feel like, all right, so you got out of that. What did you learn from that? Now it's time to make stronger connections so that I don't have to deal with that schism, and I can give more in terms of being able to do the work that I need to do. I feel like that is a huge relief for me, but just taking that stance. But now it's time to do the work, to do the deep work to make that happen. So I want to shift to a question
Mhm.
that takes us kind of back to UMES days, our UMES days. What was it about that journey, do you think, prepared us for being scholars?
Hmm.
Because we had I say this because I go into other spaces and, you know, black spaces where folks talk about HBCUs, and, UMES isn't the first HBCU that rolls off of people's tongues, right? But when I think about our experience there, it was so powerful, right? We had such a powerful experience there. So could you share your perspective?
It was partly due to I think the culture of the time, because although I think UMES has grown in its popularity in terms of known HBCUs recently,
Hmm.
um, the essence I think HBCUs it's all about the culture and about partying and the reassurance of being around um, Black excellence. Versus, I think when we were in school, the entire culture, the entire urban culture, growing to the entire American culture, was the whole hip hop movement,
Hmm.
and hip hop not being a genre of music, but a genre of taking the roughness from that experience and shining it up. Right,
Hmm.
when you have something like the foundations of hip hop, which is DJing, MCing, graffiti art, breakdancing. You have those four pillars of what hip hop was.
Hmm.
That hip hop experience was basically taking the culture of the inner city, giving it some shine,
Hmm.
exposing it to the world. So we continued that culture in our thirst for knowledge. Right, it became just like MCs could get on the mic and flow and challenge each other. So was the academic challenge to actually know more,
Hmm.
to become scholarly,
Hmm.
even with our Kango and the way we dress. It still was a component of that, is to have knowledge of self.
Hmm.
So I think a good portion of how we turned out, because I don't think it was just a Gilmias experience. I think it's that whole
Era.
late mid '90s genre
Hmm.
of folks that were in school,
Hmm.
or cohort of people that was in school
Hmm.
at that time, who had a certain type of experience. I just know for us, particularly for me, it was seeing Black excellence around you. I
Hmm.
mean, everywhere.
Yeah.
From Dr. Heitch down to the lady in the cafeteria handing out tickets.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was being girded in that total community,
Hmm.
being run by folks that look like us with a
That's
similar
right.
that we, even though we both from, I don't know about Willingboro, but Baltimore being a predominantly Black city.
I'm actually from Philly, but I grew up in Willingboro, but I hear you. Yeah.
I know you're a Philly John for sure.
Yeah, I'm a Philly joint, by
Philly
way of
John,
Willingboro.
by way of Philly John. Right. So even though I had that experience in undergrad, there's still I mean, not in undergrad, in high school, and there still were those folks in leadership that did not look like me, right?
Hmm.
But at UMES, it was like it was like, man, everybody Black and everybody's about their business and
Hmm.
everybody's doing their thing. And I mean, like I said, from Dr. Heitch to the other four VPs down to most professors. I mean, I can literally count The two English teachers, the one with the crazy frizzy hair.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Hey, do you remember his name?
I want to say Roach, Joel
Dr.
Roach.
Roach.
Dr.
And then there
Roach.
was the real strict English teacher.
Yeah. Yeah. He was, I think he went to Harvard.
Yeah.
Um,
And passing his class with a B was like I could stick my chest out because nobody could do well in his class. And then
yeah,
Michelle,
I actually got A's in his class. Yeah.
you were English major. I think Michelle Dumanche was a a speech class. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So you had a couple of
Dr.
other folks.
Damron, yeah, Dr. Damron did not
No,
play
I'm
any
talking about
games.
the European.
Oh, the white folks, yeah.
White
Mhm.
teachers, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a sprinkling of them that were in there, but for the majority of it, it was a place to see Black people model proficiency in what they were doing and give an example. And then us coming into student leadership just gave us that ability. I mean, we created an organization that student security staff that lived beyond. I mean, we were the first administration to bring hip hop to campus.
Yeah.
And
thanks to you, my friend, bringing writing contracts, bringing in KRS-One.
Yep. Not just for musical performances, but for
speaking events.
For speaking events, right? Mm-hmm. So I think it was part the experience of our culture at the time, and then that local experience at UMS. Because I don't know, I'm not sure what the professors were like at Howard, if they had a lot of white professors or whatever. But it was that whole, it was the different world experience in real life.
Yeah.
Isn't that ironic how during our matriculation, we had a TV show that reflected the experience we were having at the same time.
Yeah, it was really powerful, and that's coming back, right? A different world.
I heard something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I belong to the Justice Watch team at my church, and they have this James Baldwin series. I think I talked to you about it.
Right, you did, yeah.
And so we would have these conversations, and I would immediately think about my experience at UMES, and I would immediately think about having conversations with Dr. Jackie Thomas, for example, who wanted to make sure that we didn't just know the literature, but we understood how it influenced our community, and ways that we could use that literature to help create our pathways to success. And so we had that conversation about you meeting James Baldwin. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know that has colored your journey as well.
Yeah, it's like I was younger and I didn't really understand the weight of what the experience was until later in life. But James Baldwin gave a speech or lecture at a local community college. It was back then called Baltimore City Community College. It was 1986, 87. And my father was a caterer. He had a side business where he catered, and we catered the event. And it was a reception for James Baldwin after the speech. Of course, I'm like, oh, yeah, this nice old dude. Not understanding who that was until not even during undergrad, but actually after undergrad, when I began to really investigate Malcolm X and all of the thought leaders of that period and understanding who James Baldwin was.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, I met that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Baba White, as an ancestor. Yeah. I just want to just talk about that for a minute. So I think what really made it official for me in terms of being like one of your closest friends is the way that you, and I see you do this with all of your friends, the way that you embrace us. And it's so beautiful and so powerful. And I could just remember going to your home in Baltimore and talking to your dad and just realizing where that love comes from, that came from your dad, how he used to play the music, how he had the big check on the mirror, and inspiring us to think about being entrepreneurs and being successful. So I just want to say that meant so much to me in terms of just making a connection to you as a friend. Because for me in my journey, it's those moments that help us, get a sense of who we are to each other, and in terms of creating those memories about, uh, our relationships in our community. I remember that. I remember feeling safe. I remember feeling like welcomed. And I can just remember having a really good time, you know, and laughing. And that means so much to me. And it meant so much to me back then. It's like, I'm cool. I got fam and be more. Like to this day, picking up the phone with you is like no issue at all, no matter where we are in the world,
In the
right?
world, yeah. Do you remember at my wedding how proud he was?
Yeah.
There's a picture of us on the stairs of the house.
Yeah.
And I think you're standing behind him. It's got Zena and everybody and all of my college friends. And he's like, oh, these are all my kids. He loved that group of friends that I was fortunate to have from undergrad. And he just like, I don't know if you remember my sophomore year when I was an RA in Comico. One of my friends from Baltimore, his parents just didn't come pick him up.
Mm-hmm.
They just forgot or something. And my father and his best friend, Mr. Barnett, caught the bus home from UMES so that we could put his stuff in my parents' car and drive home. So he was like, look, this is what we're gonna do. Take me and Mr. Barnett to the liquor store. We're gonna catch the bus back to Baltimore. You drive Nat home with all his stuff. I don't know another parent that would have ever given up their car to take a 4-hour bus ride so that a fellow student could have passage back home.
Yeah.
I don't know any other parent that would have done that. I wouldn't have done that. Yeah. But that's the kind of man he was, and I think we were such a positive. He could just see positivity in everybody and embrace everybody. So I give thanks for those parents. I give thanks for you recognizing that. And I came to Willingboro and got some food from Aunt Tracy. Yeah. And received some of that grandmotherly or auntie love as well. So we came from a different breed of people, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So, another question that I have is, what continues to inspire you?
My children, the future, and Black liberation. So I considered we're having a conversation locally within the conscious community about, again, Tariq's and Nasheed's popularity and divisiveness between African Americans and Africans. Where, the 100 million Africans in Brazil or the billion Africans in Africa. And it's become increasingly concerning that it's like we're going back to being Negro again. When Malcolm X talked about people say, I ain't got nothing to do with Africa, man, you left your mind in Africa, right? It's, even though Africa itself is not the point is the redemption of Black people around the globe. So it is about Africa, but it's not. It's about us all connecting and understanding that there is value in our humanity, right? That goes beyond sports, athletics, entertainment. It's something that they can't understand about why God chose us to be first. We and you, it's the mitochondrial DNA that goes back to the proverbial Eve. It is what it is. And you've got to respect what that is. And I think the last 600 years has been trying to erase a good part of humanity's legacy and history, and understanding that you can always, when you mess up, you can always go back to the root. And if the world tries to erase the root, we'll never know how to straighten up again. And so that is something that I find purpose in, and also living a good life. I think so much of our Western mindset is a mindset of scarcity, and having traveled different places and just seeing how abundant the world is, I think the scarcity mindset is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
and also how much we're being controlled in terms of health and food, and how much importance we put on money, and how much importance we place on the male principle. Um, I'm a feminist in terms of equal rights, of course, but I
Mhm.
also understand what the principle of femininity is, and how a woman acting like a man is not what the world needs. The
Right.
world needs women to embrace their femininity, because that's the balance. When you've got that masculine principle that wants force,
Mm.
you're supposed to have the feminine principle to embrace feeling,
Right.
emotion.
Yeah, I've been inspired by this work on Oshun, Lemonade, and intertextuality. Are you familiar with Shanice Thompson work? Shanice Thompson and her work.
No, I'm
All right,
not.
so I'm going to have to send you a link to the presentation she gave on her book. But one of the things that I noticed beyond her scholarship was the fact that she wasn't, there was no performance, there was no stretching, there was no um, the posture where she felt like she had to be something else. You see a lot of that in the academy where folks are talking about their work and their work is something other than who they are, or at least there's this idea that they've studied this issue, if they studied this topic, and they've presented these ideas. But I mean, that's all it is. It's disconnected from the self journey, the personal journey. I didn't get that from her. I did see the idea that you were talking about, that this feminine energy can be powerful all on its own, in terms of what it means. But I think the important thing is being able to recognize what it means to yourself. And once you do that, once you get to a place where you can make that connection to what it means and what its purpose is. Like you said, there needs to be this connection between the feminine and the masculine energy. I think we need to do more in terms of understanding what that is. And I think Black women are under attack in the academy. We are under so much pressure that oftentimes we don't have the time to be able to do that. And when we aim to do that, it's seen as something else. It's not seen as the feminine, powerful energy that it needs to be. And my goal is to do as much as I can to be honest and true to that energy for myself. That is the healing process for me. And when I listened to the sister last night, I resolved that immediately for myself. That's what it is. And
Can I
people
share
people
something?
mhm.
Literally on the screen.
Go ahead. Hold on. You should be good now.
Okay. This is dope. This is what you're talking
Yes.
about? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Even the iconography here.
Hmm.
Yeah. I mean, we could spend an hour just talking about this energy.
Yeah.
She's got the cutlass. She's feeding. She is the fish. She's of the water. She's got the queen, got the crown.
Hmm.
She's got the bosom to feed. I mean, this is exactly the aspects or attributes of femininity.
Hmm.
It can be a warrior. Let's see how that's behind.
Hmm.
It's leading with a beauty and grace, but also in power.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is dope.
So what one of the wonderful things about her work is, well, first of all, she's from Philly, so that's dope on its own. Two, uh, she is one of the very, I think, few scholars who actually received all three of her degrees in African and Africana studies. So she got her BA, her master's, and her PhD in Africana studies. And so what I immediately learned about this work is, one, this is something that I definitely want to do more work on in terms of my own journey, but then also in terms of thinking about my work and supporting and highlighting the work of Black doctors. Uh, and that in itself is something that, I'm working towards rebuilding momentum on. And so what I mean by that is doing more in terms of communication strategy, connecting with folks like Dr. Thompson, who, whether it be, doing research on my own and looking at some of the sources that she's used in her work, and building on those ideas in ways that help me to tell, I think, more informed stories about the contributions of Black doctors. Because what I know immediately when I share, some of my work with folks is like, well, we know they matter. If we talk in the Black community, we know they matter. So that's like a moot point. But for me, it's more about the bigger picture. So let me give you an example. One of the things that I often share with folks is that when we think about data, right, and how data informs what we do in our work in higher education, if you look at an organization like the National Science Foundation, so for almost 100 years there was no ethnic and racial data collected by that large organization in terms of doctoral degree completion. So we didn't really see large scale data reporting about Black folks until the mid 70s, right? First doctoral degree was conferred in 1876. So when you think about all of that time that passed, where there was really little to no reporting about our contributions. That's the story that I want to tell. And that means so much in terms of various disciplines. That means so much in terms of um, academic environments. And this is stuff that we already know, but we're not necessarily telling stories about it in many ways. Folks are out there, the work is out there, but I think I can definitely make a stronger contribution in terms of the work I'm doing. So for me, another reason why I wanted to kind of do this interview today with you is so that folks know who I am in terms of also telling that story, and so they know where I'm coming from.
When you talk about the academy and the struggles of melanated folks there, it's the same in corporate America,
Mm-hmm.
right? Except corporate America doesn't have the collegial culture that's supposed to exist. It's we know it's cutthroat,
Mm-hmm.
but it's really all about in these spaces holding down the party line, whatever that is. So you have those of us melanated people that can be successful in those spaces if we do exactly what they want us to do, if we play the roles that they want us to play. So I found myself, they have this theme about diversity, but you're only diverse to be exactly like them in blackface.
Mm-hmm.
There's no diversity of thought, no diversity of action. It's just diversity of color,
Mm-hmm.
which makes no sense. So, part of me feels like in the corporate world, you can venture out to create your own thing,
Mm-hmm.
right? In the academic world, I presume that's a lot more difficult. Although there's a tradition of Black folks starting their own systems of education.
Mm-hmm.
But I think just like in Black business, it's easier just to get a job than it is to create an institution.
Mm-hmm.
So, question, is there a movement to regain independence in the academy with our own institution at a higher level?
That's a great question. I think that there are things that are happening in different ways in terms of building community. For example, one of the things that I am really e- encouraged by the development of these virtual student communities. So
Mhm.
there are a few right now that, including Black Doctorates Matter. There's Dissertating Why Black. There's
Yeah.
also the Doctoral Student Writing Collective. And so these are doctoral students, right, who are doing research, who will be the next faculty members, will be the next, you know, vice president of student affairs, or the next president of a university, or, you know, the next well-known researcher in whatever discipline. So I'm encouraged by that. Uh, you know, in terms of what's happening at the higher levels, I mean, so much of that now I think is being influenced and by what we're seeing with the federal government. Uh, so, you know, that's a wait and see kind of a situation. So I've turned my attention to looking at, you know, what are the positive things happening in the academy? The virtual student communities are definitely a positive um, experience. And I think that, you know, those groups are going to continue to forge forward and be, I think, representative of what we need in terms of creating these third spaces where people can find a sense of community and a sense of safety and purpose, and a sense of belonging. So that's what I've been writing about, thinking about, engaging in terms of interaction with others in the academy. And that's what I'm going to continue, I think, to work on probably for the next few months. We'll see how that goes.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
So in terms of Dr. Felder-Small, if you want people to know who you are and your journey, if I might, I would like to maybe summarize what I think that journey is. And for me, as a witness to what your journey has been, as wanting to represent a certain demographic, and not just of color, but of thought,
Mm-hmm.
and bringing that thought to the academy. When you mentioned the person that was defending their dissertation and wanted to start the prayer, right? Sometimes, like the greater culture, we want to make spaces void of any kind of spiritual reference or essence.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think I've witnessed in your journey the desire to make it authentic for folks that resemble us and our where we came from,
Mm-hmm.
to feel safe
Mm-hmm.
and seen
Mm-hmm.
in those spaces.
Yeah.
So for people who are wondering who you are, she is a soldier for the people in the academy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would like to thank you for that. As hard as your struggle has been, you've not just given up on that, but
Mm-hmm.
wanting to represent and maybe shake some people up, maybe make some people mad. But I want to commend you for that work, and will encourage you to keep it going, keep it moving.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I had a bucket of money, because then I could just drop it and say, hey, bump the academy, let's build our own thing. Because you know that's me, right?
We can still do that. We can still that. We can still do that. You know.
Me, right? That's me. I mean, the more I think, history is cyclical. The more we know our history, I mean, right after the Civil War, we had Reconstruction, and then we had all this implementation
Right.
of Jim Crow stuff. And so now we had Barack Obama. Now they're trying to send us back 50, 60,
Yeah.
70 years. And we got to do just like we did then. We created our own school, our own institutions, built our own communities. This time we have to be strong enough so that when they come riding in the night, that we'll be able to defend ourselves.
Now, when you say that to me, I hear the response to Black excellence. The response to Black excellence, you know? And so when you say that, first of all, I mean, I feel like we've been talking about this forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm in a totally safe space when we have these conversations. I also want to say that it's by way of our friendship that, it's not foreign for me to hear you calling from Belize, like on a flight or whatever you're doing. You know what I mean? Like that's how we had planned to do this thing, right? Like we were going to be in different countries. We were going to be flying around. We were going to we were going to be in the room. We were going to be at the table. We were going to be doing the work. We had talked about this. I think for me, when I was, you know, doing many things, I felt like I could often thrive doing the work in the background. Right. And I was like, all right, I can stay in my lane. I know how to do that. Right. I know how to stay in my lane. I know how to put my head down and do the work. I don't have a problem with that. I think, you know, making sense of that. And then it's like, okay, no, I'm out here. I'm out here. And I have to make sense of what this has meant for me. So I need to be able to walk that line between, oh, this is behind the scenes, Pam, doing the work, writing the speeches, doing the budgets, you know, uh, talking about what went wrong, what went right, being able to make changes, writing the proposals. We did all that stuff as undergraduate students, right? Um, and now, taking it to the next level. I think it's going to be, an exciting process for me, and in terms of making sense of all that and the healing process and all of that. So I am so thankful that we had this conversation. And anything else you want to say?
To put it simply, you are dope.
Oh, thank you.
Beautiful,
Thank you, my
dope,
friend.
fly, and smart, and you is pretty, and all those good,
Yeah.
those good adjectives. And I wanna thank you for even allowing me to, you know, have space on your platform, because I am not a trained person of the academy. I only have taught in ad hoc presentations and such. And so I just want to thank you for even inviting me to bring my little street philosophy to something as esteemed as what you do.
Yeah. I see you. Are you rocking that quarter zip though? You got that
Man,
quarter
this
zip?
is not. This is a full zip,
Uh-huh.
but I'm not messing with those young folks. This is my old man sweater with the neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had this for about 6 years now.
Yeah.
No. But thank you so much, man, for asking me to be a part of what you're doing. You put me down with Oshun Eliminated Intersexuality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna holler at this right now
Mm-hmm.
because this looks very interesting.
Yeah, we
And
got to definitely.
John's been encouraging me to read. He's like, you got to read. I get most of what I do through, I like to watch lectures on, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm gonna tell him about this. This might be a study group item over this.
Yeah, I'm going to send you the video so you can take a look at it. I mean, when I saw the video and I saw the exchange between her and Dr. Carr, I was totally inspired. It took me back to the UMES days. It was that connection between, the mentor and the mentee, and being in a place of comfort to be able to be you, you know?
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because I know that you know who I am, and there's no reservation at all in terms of me being able to be my best self. Sometimes I'm myself with other folks, but I'm not my best self, because I'm, reticent in terms of being able to connect with folks. Um, so
Yeah, you gave me a chance when you thought I was a drug addict or drug dealer.
oh yeah. Also, let me share that story.
Oh God.
I thought about that this morning too. I was like, I thought he was on cocaine. Oh, remember that? And you know
Yeah.
how your parents, they're all like, don't do this while you down there. Stay out of this. Don't be under here. Don't do that. Don't do this. Don't. So I'm like, walking around all skeptical, looking at stuff. And then I'm walking into the caf, you bend down, and I'm like, is that a razor blade? Like, and you just picking it up all nonchalant off the floor. I'm like, he got a razor blade. What's he doing with a razor blade? Carrying a razor blade? He must be on cocaine. I'm like calling people. Yo, this dude had a razor blade. Yo, he might be on that white stuff. He might be on that stuff.
It was you and is Alicia? What was her name? There's
Aaliyah.
another Aaliyah. So for all of you know who I said my father had a business, he also did mirrors. And so like tall walls of mirrors around. You can
He
Pam
had
has
them in
been
the
on my
house. He had them in the
mind.
basement. Yeah.
And it was just something I kept. It was like a pair of scissors, but we just had razors. It's like a
Right.
razor you paid for.
Yeah.
But are you familiar with Lori Daniels Favors?
Yes. Lorraine.
Okay.
Yeah. In her
Lori Daniels
podcast.
Favors?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. She's been dropping some pretty interesting stuff lately as well.
So you on Narrative?
No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What is that?
So Narrative is a community, a social media community. They have different classes and different things that you can do. They have that in class with Car in office hours on Monday.
Okay.
A lot of different activities that you can participate in. So check it out. I mean,
Is that with Karen Hunter and Dr. Carr?
yes,
Okay,
yes,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
You
I
have you
remember that.
have you watched it?
I used to watch her on YouTube when they were doing their thing there, pre and right after COVID, but I haven't listened to them in about a year or so. Greg
Mhm.
Carr's he's been proliferated now. He's on everybody's show. He's on Roland Martin, and doing a bunch of other things. So yeah, yep. But I will check it out at your counsel, at your advisement.
Yeah, I think you really really appreciate it, and it aligns with what we've done, with who we are, what we represent, and hopefully we can do something like that. I'm still hoping that we can do our Welder Industries thing.
I just thought about that. I think you talk about your role in things, and Nate says this also, that he's a much better um, major or captain than a general. And so I think sometimes the general is just there to empower the other folks to execute what they need to execute. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, whatever you need for me to help you to execute what you need to do,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that's what my role will be. But I definitely feel, as we are becoming the elders, that there's a loss, there's a lack of thoughtful information girded in historic truth
Mm-hmm.
that is not just for clicks. There's a lot of stuff out here for people just to get clicks.
Mm-hmm.
People can make so much money off the internet, and
Mm-hmm.
it seems like you can only capture the eye of folks in social media. Trying to get people together in spaces to sit down to hear something of value is even harder to do nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And COVID didn't help that at all. So I think there's definitely something that needs to happen, and perhaps there's an institution that we can build now um, to bring light to the future generation. And the more beautiful ones yet unborn, as Dr. Parker said.
Yes, yes.
I see.
We definitely need that. And so I just want to close out by honoring our ancestors. We talked about Baba White. I want to also remember Mama White, and how special I know they are in your life as ancestors. And I just want to acknowledge how much I appreciate them as well. I want to acknowledge my mother, Deanie Hampton, my father, Dennis Felder, and my family as well, for all of what they continue to do and inspire me in the day to day journey. I have not forgotten them, and will continue to include them in everything that I do.
Sure.
Ashe.
Sure. Are we still recording?
We can go ahead and
because I
stop
want to
that.
talk to you about your nephew.
Right. All right, let me stop this recording. I'm going to actually end this, and then I'll
Okay.
call you on WhatsApp.
Okay.
Thank you, Brother Kamau. Love you.
Please, love you too.
All right.